I grew up in one of the poorest communities in the nation, neighborhoods where redevelopment didn't mean hope, it meant displacement, it meant replacement. I watched mothers go to bed at night, wondering where they would live, sometimes crying as shiny new buildings rose around them, knowing those buildings wasn't built for them. I saw children turn towards the dark path because the future felt like it belonged to someone else. I saw families watch new people move in while quietly preparing themselves to move out. That was my reality. But even in that environment, I believe that our communities deserve more than struggle. I believe they deserve investment, dignity, and a real chance to strive. For more than 30 years, I worked to transform distressed communities through public-private partnership that focus on smart economic development. Development that builds people, create economic opportunities, and ensure community benefit. I spent decades proving that when you invest in people, the entire community rises. Now, something remarkable is happening. On September the 16th, 2026, I've been invited to speak to the Invest Tampa Bay Leadership Summit, sharing the stage with investors and companies that collectively manage hundreds of millions of dollars. For someone who started life in one of America's poorest neighborhoods, this moment is more than an honor. It's a breakthrough. It's a chance to bring the voices of underserved families directly to the table where decisions are made and capital flow. But to take my seat, there is a $5,000 participation fee, discounted, but still beyond what I can cover alone. So today, I'm asking for your support, not for me, but for the mission, not for the fee, but for the voice it allows me to bring, not for the seat, but for the communities that deserve representation at the highest level of leadership and investment. Your donation ensures the story of our neighborhoods, our families, and our future is heard by people who have the power to invest in real change. If you believe in equity, if you believe in lifting up forgotten communities, if you believe that someone who came from poverty should have a chance to influence national investment strategies, then I ask you to stand with me. At 70 years old, I'm still rising, still fighting, still building. And your support, our communities will rise with me. Let's look at who are some of the people that are going to be at this table. I'm so honored to have an opportunity to speak for the underserved. So as you see, panel one is going to be some very powerful people that's going to be speaking, including the Vice President of Florida West Coast. the mayor of the city of Clearwater. The panel that I'm going to be on, and that's me right here, Michael Randolph, Vice Chair for Encore Community Development and the CEO for the Center for Nonprofit and Community Development. Of all the people that's going to be on that stage, I'll be the poorest in terms of money, but the greatest in terms of value that I bring to the table for people that are left behind. To tell their story, to investors that are going to be invested now and in the future, to change the narrative. The next panel of folks, you can see some big people coming from all over the place, and including wealth strategy partners. Collectively, these people bring to the table millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. And yeah, I'll be at the table employing the money and how it should be invested. And of course, the next level, we're talking about the president and CEO of Sarasota International Airport will be at the table, including these individuals. As you can see, real people, real money. Sometimes I have to touch myself to believe that I'll be at the table as I've been all of my life fighting for the disadvantaged, those that are left behind when these pretty, shiny buildings come up. Because we can do both. We can have redevelopment and we can lift the neighborhood up at the same time. And then we also have the president and CEO of St. Petersburg Downtown Partnership. And the fifth panel is going to be some major players as well, including Tampa General Hospital. Again, God is good. At that table with these folks that control the money flow, my objective is to interject a new school, next generation of thinking. That we can both rebuild a neighborhood and uplift the community at the same time. These are the different players that's going to be part of that. This is me right here. I got probably the tiniest um uh, uh logo right here. You can barely see it, but if you could see it, it would be the Center for Nonprofit and Community Development. I'm pleading with you to be at that table, to share the story of those who normally don't make it to that table. Normally at this table, you hear the well-to-do at the table as they should be. But here, you're going to hear one of the poorest individual in the nation speaking to some of the most richest people in the nation. Again, I implore you to please help me to get to the table to make that change. See, I've seen the look of mother faces at night, wondering whether or not they'll be in that neighborhood that they grew up in. Looking at their kids and wondering, where do we live and where do we go? This does not have to be.